to finances and, Hamas being able to use a dynamic like this for its own benefit. That's horrible. But what we know is that we had to get food to people in the meantime and then change the dynamic on the ground, and that's what we're doing. All right. I know, Saeed. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. Two quick questions. A follow-up on Tom. Between the 20th of January till the 2nd of March, upward of 600 trucks were going in a day. There's no evidence of any trucks were being stolen. No evidence of violence around the aid and so on. Doesn't that speak well of the former system that was in place to get aid in?
Well, without knowing what you're referring to or having the data or who's reporting those numbers, that would be speculation on my part. What we do know is that in the immediate aftermath of October 7th, the defense that Israel was applying regarding that dynamic, the efforts to get food in to Gaza, even recently, have failed miserably. We do know that everyone, as they had stopped food delivery because of the dangers on the ground. That was the driving force. Was even for us before GHF was we want to get material into the region, but we want to be able to do it somewhat safely and without it being looted or taken by Hamas. And no one had ideas about how to make that happen, and the GHF plan achieves that. What comes after this, I can't also tell you. That's a different, and there will be a day when we're discussing the redevelopment of Gaza and new issues about the markets of Gaza and the peace of Gaza and who's running Gaza. Those will also be maybe fraught conversations, but boy, I think we both look forward to those days.
Yeah, another quick question. Yesterday, the Chief of Staff of the Israeli Army, General Zamir, said that the current strategy, including storming Deir al-Balah with tanks and so on, and including apparently the starvation strategy, is aimed at forcing Hamas to release the hostages. And today, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, said that they have a green light from the Trump administration to basically remove Gazans by force and create.
I need to stop you right there. I can't have a conspiracy theory, an accusation against President Trump about what someone says that they've been allowed to do. Saeed, we can't have that. And that's not something that belongs in this room with everything at stake, with so many people at risk. And then your answer is to bring up a conspiracy theory about what Donald Trump is saying or not saying. It's one thing to hear someone say it. It's another thing to bring it up in a serious room, of which I've shown you respect throughout. And that is unacceptable. And so we're going to move on. Yes, in the back,
unacceptable?
Sir, La Stampa. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So about Israel, has anything changed between the relationship between the United States and Israel after the strike on Syria and the killing of all those Palestinians, although the Israelis are defending themselves? So can you elaborate a little bit?
I would say you should ask the White House regarding their posture and what they've been experiencing. What I know is the President and the Secretary, in their conversations, in their attitudes about the world and what needs to happen, have been consistent. That they don't view Israel or any one of our allies or friends, they're not fair weather friends. These are relationships. So it's not about changing relationships. It's about navigating what happens in the world and working with people who can help us make peace and get to the road that I think it's fair to say, certainly most of the nations that are our allies and partners want peace in the world. And that is our goal.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just a quick clarification question on Special Envoy Witkoff's mission. You said that the humanitarian framework in Gaza has got to ramp up, but that you've been understanding that it requires a ceasefire first.
No, you've misunderstood me.
That's why I'm checking.
It can be a ramping up, as an example, of GHF, who are continually working on how to expand and to have more areas in which to get food delivered. I would consider part of that, but if you're looking at scores of other organizations moving into that's only going to happen when it's safe. So when we think of ramping up, you can have that with more distribution sites for GHF or others who perhaps adopt their technique and strategy. But of course, if we're speaking of a normal environment, that requires a ceasefire. The carnage has got to stop. Hamas has to lay down the weapons that they have, and they've got to release the hostages. That was the other note that the secretary made to me, was the expectation of the release of hostages. I did not get whether it was a particular number or all of them, but that is something he mentioned. All right. Yes, Sean.
Sure. Just a couple things. I mean, first of all, your statement on UNESCO, you talked about the state of Palestine in quote marks. Ambassador Huckabee is in the West Bank today. He's in Ramallah. He met somebody from the Palestine Liberation Organization, and he visited a Christian village in the West Bank recently. Could you talk about his increased engagement with the Palestinian Authority? Does this show any sort of shift, any sort of new effort, and what are the asks of the Palestinian Authority?
Right. I will not, as I haven't before, I tend to not characterize, I work hard not to, anyone's comments or anyone's activities, whether it's the secretary or an ambassador or an envoy or a diplomat. So I'm not going to characterize his remarks. I think we're led by a group of men and women who are pretty clearly speak for themselves. But I wouldn't speak on anything that extends beyond looking to his comments and his activities.
Could also just follow up on the situation in Gaza. I feel obliged to mention, AFP. We've had reporters there who say that their situation is so severe now that they're actually they can no longer work because of the hunger, and the company has been trying to find ways to either provide them with what they need to survive, and it's just not possible right now. Are there any talks that the U.S. government has about how to help? Obviously, journalists it's a broader problem than just the journalists, but to help people who are there. It's not just AFP; it's other outlets. Either help people get out, help people get supplies that they need, and more broadly, whether to facilitate greater access for foreign journalists.
So you're speaking about Syria?
Excuse me, with Gaza.
Oh,
Gaza.
the Gaza Strip.
This is a widespread problem.
Yes, look. It's Americans. Maybe sometimes we take it for granted when people get reports from an area, and we're interested in what the report is, and we see it up with really every outlet in dangerous situations when there's bombing and when there's drones, and it's good to remind people that it's a job that people have committed to, knowing where they're going to be going, and they're suited for that. And that is starting, of course, it's every journalist's desire to bring up information and to share things that people need to know. I know that our warnings have been very consistent regarding Americans and people in general not going to Gaza. I think that your outlets and others, no doubt if they have some issues, should bring it up to the U.S. government. But I think that when you go someplace and you know it's a war zone, that's a risk that is taken and accepted. But I know we have, whether it's the embassies with wherever you are in the world, that there are ways to contact the American government if you want to be helped to get out of an arena or whatever it is you're facing. But obviously, there's people there who didn't choose to be there necessarily, who are residents in all these war-torn areas. And then there's reporters who we owe a great deal to, who go to these areas and report to Americans for us.
Sure. Just to clarify,
And the world.
Just to clarify, we're talking about local reporters. Foreign reporters can't go in, and these people, they have no recourse. But I'll just say that I think all of us, anything that can be done to help the people who are there, I think all of us would be.
Well, every single thing we're doing clearly is going to be beneficial for the people and for the people who happen to be reporters, for foreign reporters who want to enter an area. This is an opening that we're looking forward to, that the president spoke to a few days ago about his optimism about some news out of the Gaza area. Every single thing we're doing, it doesn't eclipse anybody, right? The Gazan people, whatever their professions are, and for the people who want to get into Gaza to report, it is, in all honesty, helping to facilitate reporters has not been at the top of our list. The top of our list has been to stop the carnage and to help hostages. But as a side effect, everyone wins when the world is at peace, when a region is at peace, when there isn't a terrorist group controlling a section of a country. All right. Yes, sir. And then I'll come up to you next. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Two topics for you. Number one, Justice Department officials held a discussion on Thursday with the parents of Malky Roth, an American citizen who was murdered with two others in the Sbarro bombing in Jerusalem back in 2001. The discussion centered around the possible extradition of Jordanian national Ahmed Tamimi. The Jordanians get $1.5 billion a year in foreign aid. Democratic and Republican administrations have skated by on this extradition issue for a decade and a half now at least. What's preventing Secretary Rubio from pushing the Jordanians to finally go through with this extradition?
Well, I would reject the premise of your question that nothing stops Secretary Rubio. But secondly, you've said a lot of things that I don't know where you've received that or what the context is or if it's completely accurate. So I want to get you an answer. We're going to take that away to see what we can get for you. All
Second,
right.
can I get a second topic?
One more.
In terms of Syria going forward, some of the sanctions obviously have been lifted by the Trump administration and some more on the way. Some, though, are determined by Congress, like the Caesar sanctions.
Yes.
There's two competing bills right now in Congress. One to completely lift the Caesar Act sanctions, another to kind of slow walk it a little bit, make it provisional on Syrian government meeting some parameters. Is there a particular preference that the Secretary has here for implementing the lifting of the Caesar Act sanctions?
I have nothing to preview for you regarding a choice that the Secretary might make. He's, of course, involved in every dynamic. The sanctions have been lifted because we want Syria and its government to have a chance to become stable. It has been very clear what the requirements are. We know we have to work for it to become stable because it's unstable. And so that's our focus, is a very intense dynamic to see if Syria can become part of the regular crowd of nations. That said, I mean, that's the original commitment, why sanctions were lifted. It couldn't work, sanctions that were on Assad. But we are finding whether or not, these days show us, whether or not the current government is able to act in a way that helps us get that stability. And so that is what's driving us now. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. Back to the hostages is the discussion you were talking about with Secretary Rubio. Yesterday, the families of the hostages released a statement saying they were concerned about this possible offensive as it gets to the issue of potentially hurting or endangering the hostages as they go forth. And I was wondering if there was any conversation that you can share that would focus or give a message to the families in terms of, as progress is being made in talks and so close, that this potential offensive may endanger the hostages.
Well, I think that I don't have anything that I can tell you regarding private conversations or efforts that have been made, reaching out, of course, to hostage families. That has been a highlight of part of the obscenity of this entire event, is that they continue to hold live people and dead bodies. It is an excruciating, barbaric environment. But of course, as you know, our engagement has been with everyone. We will do we will talk with whoever we need to talk with to have peace in the world. I can't tell you again give you details of any conversations with hostage families, but all of us are well aware of the suffering that happens in a war zone. And our focus has been to stop that war, to stop the fighting, to have a ceasefire. This is obviously, as you know and all of us know, a conversation the world has. And it is at the top of our mind as we work still to stop this carnage. Yes, sir.
Thanks so much. On Ukraine, if I may, does the Secretary have any expectations from upcoming talks in Istanbul, given its timing, its format? Are you guys even part of it?
I can't necessarily speak to the Secretary's thoughts dynamically, but I know that our ambassador to NATO had a number of remarks to make that he made this morning on television regarding the talks. Again, this would be Istanbul. First of all, I can tell you that we're aware of the scheduling of a third round of talks being negotiated between the two parties. We continue to encourage direct talks between Russia and Ukraine in pursuit of a comprehensive ceasefire and eventual negotiated peace settlement. The Ambassador Whitaker in this case, said, "I'm encouraged that both sides are going to sit down again and negotiate because that's the only way this is going to be resolved. Getting both sides to the table, getting both sides to the table is going to happen this week. is important. It is an important next step, and I think that's all because of the leverage that the United States of America and President Trump continues to apply. He also noted that, as we've said repeatedly, constructive good faith dialogue is the only path to ending this war. That has been a hallmark of Secretary Rubio's remarks, that only the two parties can make the difference in deciding to stop this. And the president supports any mechanism that leads to a just, durable, and lasting peace.
We have seen, continuous missiles and, drone attacks from Russia, even overnight, they claimed new lives. Today marks, yesterday marked 1 week since the president gave the Russians,
I'm sorry, can you say who?
Russians, have been attacking, Ukraine,
Yes.
claiming new lives. Yesterday marked 1 week since the president gave them 7 weeks. Are you guys doing any assessment at this point? Do you think this 1 week window already allows you to draw any conclusion about their behavior?
I would caution when the president notes a block of time or a window that it could be any time in that window. We've already seen that in one instance. There is, at the same time, with negotiations, as I mentioned before, without going into the details, if there's a genuine negotiation happening and it's in motion, then things can change rapidly. That the day you set up a window, 2 days later it can be different because of the conversations that have been had. So it's never a static, for most of us, if we make a plan, it's kind of a static plan for us. We have an appointment and we choose that day for the appointment next month. That's not the case here. These are opportunities that the president speaks about, which is part of an important aspect of his leadership, and what the person who we are speaking with should know, that there might be some options, but it's not the only thing he's looking at. It's not the only dynamic that matters. And we've seen him give windows before, and he's acted very quickly within a block, and I think that's why it matters. He knows, he's said very, very often, many times, he's not happy with what's happening and the choices that Russia is indulging in. Yes, sir, at the end of the row.
Thank you, Madam Bruce. Ahmad Shaido from Azerbaijan. Tensions in northern Syria are rising, and we see conflicting interests between countries like Turkey and Israel. And recently, some Israeli voices said that after Iran, Turkey could be the next threat. And meanwhile, in Turkey, there are growing anti-Israel views. Some people are even calling for Turkish army to enter the Gaza. And recently, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that we will not allow the partition of Syria.
Well, you're in a direction. Every single thing requires a speculation. It's comments that I've not.
No, my question is that how do you assess the possibility,
what
the
I'll tell you,
risk
when we
of?
think about Turkey and Israel and that region, it's a very heightened environment, and many things are going to be said. What we can say is, of course, that all parties regarding Syria, of course, there's a cessation of the violence there. We don't see the activity that people are talking about or musing about. We don't see that. We know in many times recently, the president and the secretary have intervened in what could be horrible situations like the India-Pakistan dynamic, which they were able to stop. These are our leaders are very well versed on the nature of what we need to do to keep peace at hand and how to stop any dynamic that might threaten that peace. So I would point people to what is actually the case right now. The real world is enough to have some anxiety about, but we've got good leaders moving us through it. And to not add in conspiracy theories, gossip, propaganda, or other rhetoric meant to make people afraid. Eric.
Thank you, Tammy. I wanted to ask Secretary Rubio today, or rather, he reposted a post from the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs marking the 13th anniversary of the murder of pro-democracy leaders Osvaldo Paya and Harold Cepero in Cuba. We've seen Rosa Maria Paya recently approved for incorporation as a member of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights.
Yes.
Can you speak to any additional actions or any evaluation by the administration about the human rights situation in Cuba, any additional actions we might expect in terms of holding that regime to
Well,
account?
I have nothing to preview for you, but with what you've already noted and what we know about Secretary Rubio is, like with every other country that is in some regime-type trouble, he cares about the condition of the people who are there. He particularly, of course, he understandably cares about Cuba. We've seen him take actions in that regard, but I have no preview for you of anything that might come up later as well. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Question on Syria. You said that you are calling the Syrian government to lead to the next step and hold all parties who are involved in the violence accountable.
Yes.
Do you feel confident that the Syrian interim government has the capacity and the will to hold those accountable who were involved into violence in Syria, including those who were affiliated with them?
Yes, we know. We're, of course, aware of those reports, and we're aware that some who might be affiliated but not directed by the Syrian government may be a part of that. Whether they have the will or the ability to do it, well, we're going to find out, aren't we? And they have something not everyone has, which is the power and the encouragement of the American people and of the American president. The Ambassador Barrack is one of our best. So they have that, and of course our actions to help facilitate that. And this is where we find out what people are made of and what they can actually accomplish.
Another question on
Right.
Iran. Iran and the 3 EU countries will hold a nuclear talks in Istanbul later this week.
Yes, we discussed that a little bit already.
Does the U.S. build any hope on it, or have you gave Iran, or have you set the end of August as a deadline for
Yes.
Iran to come back to the table and make a
Well,
nuclear deal with you?
yes, as the president has said, the Iranian people stand to benefit from negotiating in good faith. The ball is in their court. The Iranian leadership has a window of opportunity to choose a path of peace and prosperity for their people, and we are also ready to talk directly to the Iranians. However, we are also closely coordinated with our E3 partners, and we would refer you to our European partners for more information about what happens in that meeting. All right. Right there, back, gray suit, yeah, in the glasses, right there.
Thank you so much. First of all, thanks. Your press team shared the detailed response of my question regarding violation of Indus Waters Treaty by India.
Excellent, good.
Your statement says that Pakistan and India, U.S. will encourage direct communication between Pakistan and India to resolve this issue. But I remember President Trump, when he was in Saudi Arabia, he asked Secretary Rubio to invite leadership of Pakistan and India to normalize that relation between the two countries. He, after stopping the war between India and Pakistan, he also offered to mediate on Kashmir. So I was just curious, what are your thoughts that, okay, direct communication on Indus Waters Treaty, but what about Kashmir and the relation?
Smile. And there are not many questions here make me smile. And we have a lot of good news. And it's I know we talk about the bad news because things need to be fixed, and then you have a focus on it, and then we know how to move forward. And also the fact that, yes, when I say we're going to take a question back and we need more information, you're the proof that, in fact, we do get back to you. And we have Pakistan, who's going to be here for a bilat, and I'll be participating in that, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
One more question. President Trump, on many occasions, he said that he will knock out ISIS, Daesh from all over the world. We have seen some success in Syria and Iraq, but this group is again organizing in Afghanistan, ISIS, Al-Qaeda,
Yes.
TTP, BLA, and many others. So when we are expecting any targeted strikes against these terrorist networks in
Well, we
Afghanistan?
know, of course, from his first term that he obliterated ISIS. And then we had a 4-year gap where they had opportunities to regenerate themselves. While I won't get ahead of the president, but we can all look at his previous performance and his commitment. And very often, of course, that can give us a bit of an idea of how he's going to be moving forward. All right, yes, in the back in the white shirt, sir.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask about...
Can you say your name and your outlet, please?
My name is Yordana from Khabar Agency.
All right.
So according to information from Russian Borders Customs Service, the main trading partners...
Keep going. Keep going.
Main trading partners of Russia are China, India, Turkey, and Kazakhstan. Do you have any message to those trading partners of the Russia according to the secondary sanction
if we have a message to anyone who's trading with Russia, that will come from the president and through actions that we take as a government. And we will use information that we have that we've confirmed here as opposed to maybe a report from a Russian border agent. But I appreciate that, and we've been very clear about our concern that there are multiple countries who are party to what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, and those who, like with China, where there's like 80% of dual-use material is from China for Russia. So we understand this. It's an open globe when it comes to trade, but the President and the Secretary have many tools in their tool chest when it comes to how to address that issue of supplying regimes that are causing trouble or are certainly affecting our national security. And we do that regularly. And of course, that is always open. And so no one should be comfortable when it comes to the choices that they make. They should be careful when it comes to who they trade with and who they supply. In the pink jacket in the back. Yes, ma'am.
On UNESCO membership, we have observed what appears to be a broader trend of disengagement from international organizations recently. And specifically, for example, no U.S. representative has been appointed to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, an institution rooted in Helsinki Accords. Another position vacant is the International Atomic Energy Agency, a seat in Vienna. Can you clarify whether these absences reflect a temporary delay in appointments? When we look at the website, we are seeing many absences. Or is the U.S. signaling a longer-term strategic withdrawal from these institutions, particularly the IAEA and OSCE?
All right. Also, your name and what is your outlet?
Sarah, Halk TV, Turkish.
Excellent. Well, welcome aboard. As I mentioned earlier, we've been doing a lot of reviews, as you know, one of which has just resolved, which is USAID, and also, of course, the reorganization here at the department. Another executive order that the president issued upon first taking office in the second term was to have a review of the international organizations that we're involved in, to make sure, just like with foreign aid, are these organizations aligned with the values of the America First framework? Is it in our best interest to be a part of these organizations? And so we are doing a review right now of our international organization participation. And our withdrawal from UNESCO is a reflection of the result of one of those reviews. And I don't know what each entity will experience. I'm not part of this framework. And I would want to check on really the staffing of the others that you noted. But I would say that it is any more than when we were doing the foreign aid review, to not take that, especially with a reduction in either participation or in spending when it comes to aid, don't take that as an indication of our withdrawal from the world or our participation. It's about a smarter, more strategic involvement that can be faster and more nimble, more effective around the world. We've mistaken, because of the size of government, this idea that how big you are, how many people are working, how many organizations you're going to is a reflection of success or effectiveness of results, when that is not the case. And this is what, as we do at home, is we look at how are we spending our money? Where are we spending our time? Is this something that is valuable for, and in our case, President Trump's vision of America First, but also for the best country in the world, a government that is still, as we are into our 250th birthday, that we want to be that country that people love and want to come to, that can make the difference in the world, that can actually not just help end wars by joining them, but can stop them from starting. That's the NATO vision. The NATO vision wasn't get prepared to have to fight back. It was to be a deterrent. So it's the vision is not withdrawal or turning inward. It's the opposite. How can we do more, faster, with more results and more
for now,
dynamics?
these are
and that is where we're going to end today. And we will. I'm sorry. That's where we're going to end. I can tell you that for this Thursday, you're going to see Tammy in your briefing. So we will have that wonderful experience coming up on Thursday. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. I appreciate it.